50 years of close-up and teaching at Belen is a remarkable legacy, especially when you think about the community that Pat Collins has been teaching. Pat Collins is an Irish American who spent a lifetime teaching Cuban and Latin Americans who were new to this country what it meant to be an American.
He was very much always even-keeled through everybody. Pat always had this sense of calm and purpose that really made you listen.
Usually you used to always have Mr. Collins one time in 11th grade for U.S. government. Everybody dreaded having Mr. Collins, not because bad, but because you knew you were up for a challenging class and you were going to have to be prepared and you were going to have to work very hard.
The way that Pat Collins has always taught and his, I would say, his hallmark was not just lecturing in classes, but providing experiences for his students. I can remember not only Close-Up, but the Court Observer program and the mock trial program. We always felt there was more benefit to these immersive experiences. And frankly, at that point, he was ahead of his time, I think.
Somebody who teaches government never quite showed his hand in terms of where he fell on things ideologically, right? Which is such a contrast to what we're living right now, where everybody wears it in a way where if you don't agree with me, then I'm not even going to have conversations with you. And that is completely contrary to the experience I had at Close-Up, and it's completely contrary to the experience I had in Mr. Collins's class.
It's very difficult to answer the question of when Pat Collins went above and beyond for me or my classmates, because Pat Collins went above and beyond every single day, every class he gave.
Mr. Collins helped my friend Nico find his deceased grandpa's name on the Korean War Memorial, and I thought that was really cool that he went out of his way to do that for him because he really didn't have to.
He was able to get 10 tickets to the GOP primary debate for my class. I was able to go along with 10 other classmates, and that was a really great experience.
Well, he taught my dad, and together they were in a club called Amnesty International,
in which we would write letters for political prisoners globally, which imparted in me an interest in international affairs.
And so over time, the club kind of dissipated, but when I came back, I offered him, I said, you think maybe we could bring the club back? And he told me, absolutely, I'll do anything that it takes to help you get this club out the ground. And that was something that was very inspirational for me.
My favorite moment from the close-up trip was seeing the Changing the Guard in the Arlington National Cemetery, because I'd never seen it before, and it was just super cool to see just the entire process.
So I think it was really the most memorable trip. Obviously seeing all the landmarks and going to Library of Congress and the National Archives, and I can go on in the Supreme Court.
So imagine as a 17-year-old how we absorbed as a sponge everything that we saw during that week.
The connections we made on that trip, 6 years later, I guess, we still have people, we still keep in touch with some of the people from the trip, from Arkansas, from Michigan, from Texas.
I immediately jumped on the opportunity when Pat asked me to go on the first Close-Up program. I think more than anything, the fact that he encourages students to go outside their comfort zone and to listen to other people's arguments is unique to his legacy here in Belen and something incredibly important in today's political climate.
A lot of the firsthand experience, especially with the Capitol building, the Q&A part of that really showed the level of understanding that politicians have that you don't get in the media, because a lot of it is just kind of having to put one person down or put one person up, making them seem like they're always right or always wrong when they're really just humans. And you lose a lot of the humanity in politics, and that was really, really cool to see in person and close up.
They've taught me about the importance of education and the straight line between education and the removal of fear. I think the unique experience of Pat Collins and Close-Up's education make me very aware of how fragile and special what we work to build is. It requires communication, and it requires that humility. It requires that we take a step back and put someone else in front of us.
Teachers like Pat Collins make up the fabric of what's wonderful in our teaching community in the state of Florida. 50 years he's been working with Close-Up, inspiring generation after generation of future leaders, because Pat Collins looks at a young girl or a young boy and sees a lot of potential.
Pat Collins played a huge role in civic education in my life as I became a social studies teacher.
I'm able to enter into conversations with adults with confidence, and I'm able to express my viewpoints without fear of sounding ignorant.
So Mr. Collins has shown me that you don't need to be a PhD student or you don't need to be very affluent to be participating in politics. Politics is for the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers, the little guy, the everyday citizen that wants to get involved.
A great philosophy that Mr. Collins taught us last year was whenever you encounter yourself in an argument or in a disagreement with someone, always be open to the possibility of being wrong. I'm still learning, I'm still a student, and that philosophy has really taught me to soak up information from people who I may disagree with, because you learn something new from the different perspectives that you experience.
Mr. Collins taught me that even though we may seem insignificant, we can each play an incredibly large role in the politics of our nation. Like, you don't know if one single letter to a congressman is going to change their opinion on something that you find very important.
I eventually got my career where I am today, which is in government and politics 41 years later, was strictly because of Pat Collins.
He just inspires other teachers to be the best teachers they can be, and he inspires the future leaders of tomorrow. Thank you, Pat Collins, for being the epitome of what's great about the teaching profession. Thank you. Te quiero mucho, amigo.